This tutorial covers the basic operation of a LEGO Saturn II printer. How to use Cheaterbox. Often you are given a .stl file, which is sort of like PDF files of 3D CAD designs. We are using a program called Cheaterbox, which processes this .stl file into a file that is printable by the Saturn II printer. On the main screen, you can see the virtual print bed. On the top left, you see the main menu. This is where you can open, create, and save the print project files. Right next to it is the Open File button. Click it and navigate to find the .stl file that you want to print and open it. Now the 3D model should be visible on the bed. Go to Settings. Here you can see the number of preset settings. Make sure that you are using the settings given as default for the printer that you're using. In our case, it's the LEGO Saturn II. Depending on your project, you can change the resin properties and print settings. For example, smaller layer height increases the vertical resolution, but comes at the cost of print time. Increase exposure time if you're using a specific resin that requires it, or if the part is undercured or deformed during printing. But otherwise, it's okay to just leave all the settings as default. To navigate on the virtual print bed, use the scroll wheel button on your mouse. Click and drag to move around. Use right-click and drag to rotate the perspective in any way. For precision moving, you can hold down the Control key in Windows or Command key in Mac. When you open the printable file, it may not be in the orientation you want it to be printed. Then you can use the rotate feature on the left of the screen to change its orientation. On the right side, you'll see the model tree. Another important view is the support menu. With the model of interest selected in the model tree, go to Support menu. Here you can generate support structures to facilitate the printing. Depending on the size of the print, you can choose light, medium, or heavy type of supports. If the quality of the first, or rather the bottom layer of the print is very important, consider adding a raft base. Click plus all to generate the supports automatically. And now you can go back to the main view and click Slice. Once it's done, you can use the vertical slider to examine each layer of the print. It would also show you the specifications such as expected print time, amount of resin that will be used, and the volume of the part. Save the slice file into the thumb drive. Now we take this thumb drive to the printer and proceed to printing. Make sure to use appropriate equipment such as nitrile gloves and lint-free wipes. For this tutorial, we are using 8K resin specifically produced for the printer. Make sure to shake the resin bottle to avoid having clumped resin in the tank. Before pouring in the resin, make sure the resin tank and the FPA film surface is clear of any contaminant. The amount of resin that can be poured into the tank is indicated by the max line. For smaller parts, use accordingly smaller amount of resin. Make sure the platform is locked tightly to the structure and put the hood on before starting printing. Press the power button below the display to turn the printer on. On the main screen, there are three options: Tool, System, and Print. In the Tool menu, you can manually lift or lower the printing base to monitor the printing process. You can use this feature to check if the first couple of base layers of the print is properly adhering to the platform. You can also adjust exposure time for each layer, stop the print, and calibrate the printer. In the System menu, you can access the printer's specifications, support information, or change language setting. Now the most important part, Print. Plug in the USB flash drive that contains a printable file to the right side of the printer. In the Print menu, navigate through the folders to locate the file you want to print. The printable file extension is .ctb. You should be able to see the thumbnail preview of the 3D model. Press the triangle play button to start printing. The print screen should now show remaining time, elapsed time, and count of the printed layers out of the total number of layers. We are now pausing the printing process to confirm the adhesion of the base layer as previously mentioned. It is challenging due to resin droplets, but looking closely, the two circles that form the base of the rook pieces are visible. Resume the printing process, which, depending on the size of the print, may take from minutes to hours overnight. When the printing is done, remove the hood. You can directly remove the part from the platform, but it is recommended to remove the platform from the printer first and then remove the part separately. Before that, try to salvage some of the resin on the plate so you can use it later. Use clean, lint-free paper to scrape off the resin back into the resin tank. Make sure to clean off any remaining residue around the tank. Now gently unscrew the locking bolt and remove the platform. It is recommended to use a container to transport the platform to the post-processing station to avoid dripping the resin around the workspace. You need to apply some impact force to separate the part from the plate. Hold the sides of the platform firmly. With one side of the plate against the bottom of the tub, apply strong force at the base of the part at about 45 degrees angle. Make sure to use a blunt scraper, not a sharp one. Always take caution not to scratch the metal platform. Clearly, the bottom of the printed part will be under significant stress during the removal process. Support structure at the base helps reduce damage and makes it easier to remove from the plate, and you can add the support structures in the slicing software Box. Now you can put the platform back onto the printer. It is a good practice to keep the hood closed whenever possible to keep any contaminants away. Post-processing is a very important step where you wash and cure the part that was printed. Here, we are removing the resin that is still on the printed part before curing it globally with UV light to make it completely solid. First, place the parts on the metal rack inside the cleaning tank. Always put the part in first and then pour the washing solution. You can use water for most purposes, but for delicate parts that require the highest precision, you may use IPA or rubbing alcohol. Take the hood off from the post-processing machine. To wash the parts, remove the curing disc. Place the tank on the base. Make sure the lid is closed tightly and the tank sits stable on the indent on the base. The power switch is on the back. When it's on, you will see a symbol next to the time setting which indicates the mode. Here, the light bulb means that it is set to curing mode. Press the mode button to switch to washing mode, which looks like a circle with water droplets. Add or reduce time duration for the process, and then press start button to start washing. Once the washing is complete, next step is removing the moisture before curing. Use a compressor to blow off the moisture. Take caution with delicate parts as the pressurized air could easily damage the print. Wipe off droplets on and around the machine as well. To cure the part, put the curing disc back onto the base. There are two metal pins that will snap onto the notches on the rotating platform. Put the parts on the disc and set the machine to curing mode, then set sufficient time for curing. Check if the surface of the print is perfectly solid, and if not, cure it for a while longer. Once you are done printing, make sure all the hoods are back on, turn off the machines, and dispose of the waste in a proper manner.